Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Mountain Mindset. I'm your host, Gio McNee, and in this week's episode, I'm going to cover off a question that we've answered before. It's interesting when you do this podcast thing. You put lots of content out and you think that it would be like a one and done. And if you've ever followed any of your favourite channels, you'll notice that there's times that they sort of redo one of their original classics. And one of these times, or what we're going to do now is exactly what these channels do. And the reason being is that sometimes it's great to revisit things. It's actually a very, very good exercise to go over things, because the book I'm going to review today is one we've done in the past, Jocko Willink's Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual. And if you'll remember, this book is so well read, the pages are actually falling out of it. And we've got the same blue markers, but in different positions. So we're going to cover off some of the same topics and some of the new ones. And the reason being is that a few people have asked me recently about discipline, and what is it? How do you get it? What's the benefits of it? Why would someone choose not to be disciplined? How could they become disciplined? And is there a hack or a shortcut, or what is it they need to do to embrace this thing called discipline? And I thought that was an interesting question because, as I said, we've covered it before, and one of the great things that we've got is we've got another year under our belt of different experiences, different episodes, different guests, different adventures. So there is no time better than now to revisit it. I'm just back from the Monaco Grand Prix. What an incredible adventure there. And what I took away from that weekend was there was no higher concentration of people that had embraced a vision to do extremely well and shine light on the world by whatever product, service, business, application that they'd had. And it just shows what's possible. And obviously the glitz and the glam is signs that they're very good at it. 50 million pound yachts being sort of the low end, and then Jeff Bezos being a $500 million yacht out in the French Riviera. So a great collection of people that had achieved a vision. And one of the things that will be unique with them all is they will have discipline. So let's dive in. Let's start with what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some parts of this, and I'll give some commentary on what I think and what Jocko's trying to explain. So for those of you that don't know, Jocko Willink is a retired Navy SEAL officer. He was a task unit commander. He done a couple of combat tours in Iraq, lost some men, was a leader of men, and retired honourably from the military. He then set up a leadership company called Echelon Front, where he went into businesses and taught them leadership for their top guys all the way down to the janitor, showing them the power of leadership, extreme ownership, and discipline. He's an author, fellow podcaster. He's written adults books on discipline. He's written kids books. A great story where he went to the library he's got 4 kids. He went to the library to get them a good book and didn't like what he'd seen, so he decided to write his own. So Mikey and the Dragon for the very young kids, and then Way of the Warrior Kid for your growing up sort of through 5, 6 all the way through to teens. I've read all the books with my boys, and even reading those kids' books. So sometimes I read them and I think, man, we could be doing more. We could be pushing a little bit more, because the lessons that are in these books are powerful, and we all know them. We actually do know what's being said, and sometimes it just takes that little time to revisit it, so you can go, oh, maybe I need to add that in. So let's start with discipline. Here we go. The way of discipline. People look for the shortcut, the hack. And if you came here looking for that, you won't find it. The shortcut is a lie. The hack doesn't get you there. And if you want to take the easy road, it won't take you somewhere you want to be. Stronger, smarter, faster, healthier, better, free. To reach goals and overcome obstacles and become the best version of you possible will not happen by itself. It will not happen by cutting corners, taking shortcuts, or looking for the easy way out. There is no easy way. There is only hard work, late nights, early mornings, practice, rehearsal, repetition, study, sweat, blood, toil, frustration, and discipline. Discipline. There must be discipline. Discipline is the root of all good qualities, the driver of daily execution, the core principle that overcomes laziness and lethargy and excuses. Discipline defeats the infinite excuses that say, not today, not now, I need a rest, I will do it tomorrow. What's the hack? How do you become stronger, smarter, faster and healthier? How do you become better? How do you achieve true freedom? There is only one way. The way of discipline. Now, that seems fairly a great summary of discipline, but what really is he digging into? He's basically saying that there's lots of things in the world where he's recognising people have lots and lots of excuses, and those excuses are stopping them from getting the life that they want because they're choosing this sort of easier option, the lazier option, looking for the hack, looking for the shortcut, in a world of skinny pens and, all these, injections that you can take to stop eating because you don't have the discipline to stop eating, the foods that you shouldn't, all the way through to using AI to do your the bulk of your work for you. There's examples of kids passing all their exams using AI, guys chatting chatting up girls using AI. And it's just like, look, it's going to take hard work. If you want something and you want to get some purpose out of life, it needs to be difficult. It needs to be a challenge. Imagine everything you ever done was just easy and straightforward and you knew you were going to win and you knew all the outcomes. Where would be the fun in that? Imagine playing a game that you always won. Would you play that game? Would you get the sense of enjoyment? No. The sense of enjoyment comes from actually getting better and improving, and developing yourself. It's not a case of, just sort of sticking in your comfort zone. So what I'm taking from this, what I can read into this is that the first part is basically saying there's no hack, that there isn't any easy way. And if you want to get great results, then you need to choose the hard road. And if you choose the hard road, it's going to do something for you. And that thing that's going to do for you is going to get over all your excuses, all your nonsense, all your BS, all the stuff that you tell yourself oh, well, I can't because of this and I shouldn't because of that, and fill in the blank, because all of them are lies, and we'll come on to that later on. And then he's just reinforcing, like, if you want the hack, the hack is doing the hard work. The hack is actually getting there. And it's true. You look at the world today and you think to yourself, well, it's like Dana White says, there's never been a better time to be a savage, because everybody is so soft. Everybody is so far away from their potential because of their choices. They're choosing not to go for it, not to push hard, which is bonkers. You would think to yourself, if you have the potential and you have the talent, and you have the skills, go for it. Go flat out. Go and push all the way and see where it takes you. In the world today, where there's very, very few people doing that, and probably the smallest percentage of people doing that compared to recent times in history, it's an open goal for you. If you're prepared to push and you're prepared to do the hard work, the late nights, the early mornings, and just pushing through when you don't feel like it, these results are on a plate for you. So that is the way of discipline. So this was a question that I was asked recently. Someone said to me, how do you get discipline? He's like, it's not on a shelf. It's not like you can go into, your local pharmacy and say, hey, look, do you sell any discipline? I'll have a 2-week supply. Discipline's a choice. Discipline's something you choose. So let's see where Jocko says discipline comes from. So where does discipline come from? This is a simple answer. Discipline comes from within. Discipline is an internal force. Sure, you can have discipline imposed on you by a person, like a drill instructor, or a self-help guru on TV. But the reality is, he won't give you real discipline, because that's external discipline and it's not strong. It will not survive. It cannot stand on its own. And what you're looking for, what you need, is self-discipline. Self-discipline, as the very term implies, comes from the self, you. It comes from when you make a decision to be disciplined, when you make a decision to be better. When you make a decision to do more, to be more, self-discipline comes from you when you decide to make a mark on the world. If you don't think you're disciplined, it's because you haven't decided to be disciplined yet. It's because you haven't created it yet. You haven't become it yet. So where does it come from? It comes from you. So make the decision, make the commitment, become the discipline, embrace its cold and relentless power. It will make you better and stronger and smarter and faster and healthier than anything else. And most important, it will make you free. I mean, in 2 pages, very, very concise pages, might I add. I mean, a message doesn't become more powerful than that. So what he's saying is, you're not going to get it from anywhere else but yourself. You can look for external discipline if you're really, really struggling. But the main goal is to develop this from within. And it's a choice. It's a decision. Because all these things that you do when you choose not to be disciplined is you've chosen not to be that best version. You've made the justification, the excuse, the reason. And what Jocko points out to in his description is he says, when you make that decision, when you make that choice, it starts to become discipline. It starts to happen within. And the more times you do it, the more times you commit to being disciplined, it will start this process of you developing this relentless power, the cold, steely determination. It's those days that you look outside and the weather isn't that good and you still grab your trainers and you go and do your workout, or you grab your bike, or you go out, you brave the elements. You just get it done because you could make the excuse, but you take the harder road. So that's where discipline comes from. It comes from within. It comes from the choice of you saying, enough's enough. I want a better version of myself. I want better results. I want to be a better role model. I want people that look up to me to have a better version of what they've currently had. And it's powerful. Make the choice. Stand up and grab your potential with both hands because it's worth it. Powerful, powerful stuff. So we figured out what discipline is and also where it comes from. Now, in the next section, we're going to cover off what Jocko thinks about the application of discipline. So let's read into it and see what he says. Application of discipline. Discipline starts with waking up early. It really does, but that is just the beginning. You absolutely have to apply this to things beyond waking up early. It is working out every day, making yourself stronger and faster and more flexible and healthier. It's eating the right foods to fuel your system correctly. It is disciplining your emotions so you can make good decisions. It's about having the discipline to control your ego so it doesn't get out of hand and control you. It is about treating people the way you would want to be treated. It's about doing the tasks that you don't want to do, but you know it will help. Discipline is about facing your fears so you can conquer them. Discipline means taking the hard road, the uphill road, to do what is right for you and for others. So often, the easy path calls us to be weak for that moment, to break down another time, to give in to the desire to the short-term gratification. Discipline will not allow that. Discipline calls for strength and fortitude and will. It won't accept weakness. It won't tolerate a breakdown in will. Discipline can seem like your worst enemy, but in reality, it's your best friend. It will take care of you like nothing else can. And it will put you on the path to strength and health and intelligence and happiness. And most important, discipline will put you on the path to freedom. So, more reinforcement as to the things that Jocko lists here is what are really characteristics of how to apply discipline. The overall thing here is that you're applying it to things that you don't want to do. So getting up earlier than when you want to get up, working out every day when you feel sore, eating the right foods when you want a bit of junk, controlling your emotions so your ego doesn't flare up, interacting with people the best way, even though you maybe feel that they don't deserve it. Facing your fears. Like, look at all these things. They're the harder path. They're the uphill battle. They're the tougher part of what it is that makes us, which makes us choose the weaker path. And he goes on to say, like, the weaker path is trying to get you, it's trying to talk you out of it. It's trying to make you weaker because it's easier, and easier means that it doesn't need to try so hard, and you don't need to be outside your comfort zone. You don't need to try and embrace discomfort. What it is you just actually need to take the easier path and just stay where you're at. But the danger of that is that it takes away from your potential. It takes away from what's possible for you to do. It takes away what it is that's the essence of you. Because you've got more in you. You've got more potential in you. You can have better results. You can have the better body. You can have the better mind. You can have the better environment. You can push. It's going to cost you not listening to this voice. You know, we have a name for it in Mount Mindset. For those of you that are avid listeners, you'll know its name. But it's what it's talking about. It's talking about that voice that tries to weaken you. Don't let it weaken you. Learn to mute it. My favourite technique is to give that voice a name. Preferably a name that you don't like. And then you know that that voice is not you. It's that name. So that you know when you hear that voice, shut it out. Don't listen to it. Don't listen to him or to her. Shut it down and say, no, enough. Go on your way. Get your tasks done. Smash them out. Push hard. And you'll like it. I don't know anybody that pushes really hard and goes, I hate doing this. I don't. I know loads of people that love pushing, that absolutely love grinding it out. You know, they feel so much gratification when they finish something, like, oh man, that was hard. It was tough and it was brutal. And there was times where I didn't think I was going to get there, but I'm so glad I made it. They flip that on its head. I know loads of people that don't push, and all they moan about is how they don't push. I wish things could be better. I wish I was in better shape. I hate the way I look. I hate the way I feel. I hate the way I'm down. I hate my negativity. I've got anxiety and depression. It's because I can't, and this and that. It's like, get a grip of yourself, man. Give yourself a shake. What are you talking about? Have an audit. Have a look in the mirror. Your problem is you. You're the problem. Give yourself a shake. Stop picking the terrible choices and actually do something. Brush yourself down and go for it. It doesn't need to be big. Just make a start. Begin. Get some sort of win under your belt and let that feeling of that win linger. And you think, right, what other win could I have? And if I was to keep this streak alive, what else could I do? And then start to develop a pattern. And this is where you start to apply discipline. And this is how it begins. You don't need to get everything right straight away, but start making the attempt to get something right, and then let it spread and let it grow and let it reach all areas of your life. That is how you apply discipline. So I think Jocko's spot on. No surprises there. A guy is accomplished and as articulate and as well-rounded as Jocko is. He's nailed it again in just a short space of time. So if you're looking to apply discipline, I would say begin. Start with something. Give that voice another name and just shut it out. Shut it down. Do not let it get in the way of your dream life. Right, so this one is a little deeper, a little more internal than external. It's more an inside the thing that you can monitor. Some of the things that we've discussed up to now, you can measure in the outside world. And what I mean by that is you can measure if you're getting fitter. You can measure if you're sticking to the gym. You can measure if you're sticking to your diet. You can measure these things. But this one is a little more internal in your mind. And this one's called questions. Knowledge is a powerful tool. It is the master of your tools. It is where your tools come from, because without knowledge, there is nothing. Let's take that one step further. Knowledge is the ultimate weapon. It trumps all other weapons. Thought is what wins. The mind is what wins. Knowledge is what wins. And you gain knowledge by asking questions. Which questions should you ask? Simple. Question everything. Do not accept anything as truth. Question it all. When you don't understand a word, get out the dictionary. When you don't understand a concept, break it down until you do. When you don't know how something works, dig into it until you do. Ask every question that comes into your mind. This is how you learn. And the most important, question yourself. Question yourself every day. Ask yourself, who am I? What have I learned? What have I created? What forward progress have I made? Who have I helped? What am I doing to improve myself today? To get better, faster, stronger, healthier, and smarter. This is where I want to be. Is this all that I've got? Is this everything I can give? Is this everything that is going to be my life? Am I going to accept that? Ask yourself those questions, those hard questions, and then answer them all truthfully. And realise that all of us can do better. We can be better. And it starts with you beginning to ask those questions. So ask the hard questions of yourself and find the path to progress and discipline and to freedom. Inside is the answer. So one of the things that I do when figure out where someone's at in life is listen to the type of language that they use. And the type of language that they use is showing you parameters on how they operate with their inside world. So are they more optimistic or pessimistic? Are they more negative framing or positive framing? Are they more focused in the past where they batter on about, well, when this happened to me, when I went through this, or, versus someone that's looking to the future, I'm planning to do this, I'm planning to do that, this is what I'm working towards. I'm getting a feel for how their mind is constructed, because what happens is you can then start to work out what questions that they're asking themselves. And usually when you get someone that's stuck, all it is they're not asking the right question yet. And one of the things that my favourite tool to get someone there is to prompt them with the right questions. Something like, have you looked here? Have you ever thought about this? Did you know that you can do this? And it starts to get the grey matter turning in their mind, because it's easy for me to tell them the answer. If you're stuck in something, I give you the answer. What have you learned? Nothing. But if I give you a few prompts and let you figure out the answer yourself, you found a way. And the power is in questions. And it's a very, very internal thing. And one of the things that I think is going to be unusual if you do any of these exercises in this book, the one that will probably feel a bit more sort of unusual to you would be the internal questions. It's a powerful tool because you ask yourself these things. And I think if you think of most people, do you think that they are aware of what kind of questions that they ask? Do you think they're aware of the settings in their mind? I don't think they are. But when you start to do this, things change, and things change rapidly, because when you start to ask the right questions, rather, you start to get powerful answers. The powerful answers will change the course of your life. And I don't mean that in embellishing terms or to be, over the top. I mean, really, you ask better questions, you get better results. That's how powerful this is. So, ask better questions. So leading on from asking questions, here's another one where I think this leads perfectly into, the repertoire of, if you want to change your life, if you want better results, where do you begin? If you're out there and you're lost and you're not sure and you want to change, you want to get a better outcome, how do you do it? Where do you begin? Well, these are the top tips that do it. The reason this book has got pages falling out of it is because I've read it that much. The power in this book is incredible. Go out there and buy the book. Discipline equals freedom field manual. You will not be disappointed. I'm sure this is the second version. There's an original version which I have, and this is the updated version, and both of them have got pages falling out of them, not because of the quality of the book, because the quality of the book is impressive, but rather how much I've read this book. So if you want to get these powerful sort of principles in your mind, here's another one called compromise. So what's Jocko got to say about this? When working with other people in dynamic situations, in relationships and deals, a person, especially a leader, must compromise. Finding common ground between teams, merging different approaches to the same problem, bridging personalities with people who might not get along, reaching agreements in courses of action, all of these require compromise. And in many cases, the failure to compromise is a failure to succeed. But those are external compromises with other people, other humans that must have their own personalities and ethoses and issues. And compromise is needed to unify. So to work them or to work with them, compromise is a must. However, internally, it's different. With myself, I have to hold the line. There are areas within myself where I cannot compromise. I am going to work hard. I am going to train harder. I am going to improve myself. I am going to not rest on my laurels. I am going to own my mistakes and confront them. I am going to face my demons. I'm not going to give up or give out or give in. I'm going to stand. I'm going to maintain my self-discipline. And on those points, there will be no compromise. Not now, not ever. What I find powerful about this is Jocko actually has a book called The Dichotomy of Leadership. And I had to look up the word dichotomy because it was an unusual word. It's not a word that I had heard of. And if I did, I didn't sort of notice it. Dichotomy is the polarity of a situation. So you can have two ends of a spectrum where you have one opposing force and another opposing force, or just things that are at each end of the scale. And then it's explaining you're stuck in the middle between these two ends and you need to figure it out. And the dichotomy of leadership was you can have, you need to compromise because two people want to go two different ways and you need to find a way to compromise. Or to be a great leader, sometimes you need to be led. So there's another sort of oxymoron about the word leadership, because you would then think that you need to lead, but the reality is sometimes you need to lead. If you want to influence people, sometimes you need to let them influence you. So there's all these dichotomies, which is sometimes it's not quite as straightforward. And one of the things that I really, really enjoyed about this part in compromise is what Jocko was saying is the dichotomy or the opposing situations here is in compromise in life, you need to have situations where you'll use compromise. Compromise is the tool to get success. But there is other parts of your life where you do not compromise. So it's not a case of saying, okay, I'm just going to compromise on everything, meaning inside and outside, you're compromising externally and compromising internally. What he's saying is, here is how you break it up. On these ones, compromise is on the table. And internally within, on these principles, I will never, ever compromise. And it shows the flexibility between making a choice, which is to sort of meet people in the middle, get a deal over the line, work out some differences. There's compromise to be had there because that's how you unify a situation. And on the other hand, here's internally where Jocko compromises off the table. Now, that shows the flexibility in terms of not putting yourself into one box. It shows the power of being able to be nimble, to be able to make the choices, to be able to think about the options that you have and to use the options for you for success, to unify and to lead and to be led and to get these situations where you need a deal over the line. And then on the other side of it, where there's a choice that you do not compromise, and that means that you lock into it and never, ever, ever do you give in on those principles. And you can see the power of actually doing that. I think it was very, very, very powerful. A really, really cool way of showing how you can be so firm in your application of compromising one thing, and then how you can be so firm and never giving in to yourself and never compromising yourself. I thought that was really, really good. A powerful, powerful lesson that we could all use. Right, let's get through it. Bad instincts. What are these? Now, bad instincts is a great... I was thinking about this. There's two more that we're going to go through, and these are all going to mesh together. So I've picked bad instincts as a real good entry point. Let's find out what they are. There is one instinct to be wary of. One that you must fight. This one is a liar. This one is a saboteur, a backbiter. And like the devil himself, he's a shapeshifter. He will disguise himself and make you think that he has got your best interests in mind. But he doesn't. This is the instinct that says, you've had enough. You've given it your best shot. You can stand down. You can back off. You can take a knee. This instinct says that you can rest now. Do not listen to this instinct. Do not listen. Because that instinct is a liar and wants to bring you down. You see, this instinct is a defense mechanism for your ego. It gives you an out, a place to run, a place of sympathy and amnesty where it all can be forgiven, where failures gather together in comfort and drown their sorrows in lies and deception. They tell each other and they tell you, you did the best you could, and the deck was stacked against you, and it's not your fault. And so they tell you it's okay to stop. It's okay to settle. It's okay to give up. And that is the instinct that you need to fight, to push back, to smash into the ground. Do not take the easy way out, and do not give up based on instincts. And if you're forced to stand down, to retreat so that you can rebuild and reattack, so be it. But make that decision based on logic, not on the instinct of surrender and defeat. Destroy that instinct. Replace it with the instinct that says, get up, go, fight on. Make that your fundamental reaction to adversity. Make that your gut instinct. And you will overcome anything that stands in your path. Now, this is the proverbial inner bitch. This is what we talk about in Mount Mindset. That is the voice that we're talking about. That saboteur, that liar, that weakness. It's like a caring soul just trying to talk you out, being empathetic and sympathetic and just being like, oh, so soft and creating a victim of you. Oh, you're a victim. It's hard. It's this. Pish. Total pish. You're stronger. You have more in you. You have more potential. You could go further. You can go longer. Get yourself up and go and give it your all and put it all in the line because you're worth it. You're made to do it. Do not listen to that inner pitch. And just as Jocko said, it is a liar and a shapeshifter. Some it will come in the way of like a mothering tone. Oh, you better watch. You better not hurt yourself. Sometimes it will come as a stern. Yes, that is quite dangerous. Sometimes it will come as, you know, there's no real benefit in doing this. Quit listening to it. See it through. Get it done. Be the strongest version of you that you can be. Wise, powerful, strong words. And again, look, we're covering off the ways, the principles that you can apply. You know all this. You know what it's like. There's a time in your life where you've quit. And 30 seconds after you quit, you've regretted it. Because you knew you could have went on. You just cracked like a fucking Kit Kat. You cracked like an egg. So soft. And then you gave in and you broke. And you know what? It's like that old expression, pain is temporary and failure's forever, because when you fail, you remember it hurts, it scars you deep. Don't let it be you. Don't let it happen to you. Come on. Don't listen to the inner voice, that saboteur, bad instincts, inner bitch. Call them out, shoot them down. Here we go. One of my favourites. One that I'm steely determined on. Those of you that know me will know why. Negative talk from negative people. The old classic, what do you do about the negative person talking behind your back and trying to bring you down? Sure, you can confront them and join them in their little game. You can give them of the satisfaction of knowing that they got in your head. You can turn your life into a grade school gossip hall. Of course, there are times, unfortunately, that you will have to engage with people like this. You may have to set the record straight on a serious allegation. You may have to challenge statements that might be damaging to the team or the mission. And when you do have to engage, do it professionally. Say something like, I heard you had some pointers for me on how I'm doing my job. I'd love to get your feedback so I can tighten up my game. A statement like that will likely defuse the scenario. The person will know that they're informants who will tell you what's going on. And that will likely stifle the situation. But let me tell you what my preferred methodology is for this situation. It is simple. Ignore and outperform. I'll repeat that again. Ignore and outperform. Yes, while you're over there watching me and talking about me, I'm working. I'm working hard and taking the things to the next level. You keep gossiping, I'll keep working. You keep talking smack, I'll keep working. You keep chattering about things, I'll keep working. You focus on what everyone else is doing, and I'll focus on what I can do. And when you finally look around at where you are and where I am, you will realise that you have nothing to talk smack about. Because you will lose, and I will win. And this applies to when people are playing office politics or forming their cliques or working on their personal agendas. Of course, sometimes you have to play those games too. But when dealing with people like this, let your first course of action be the fundamental core of how you handle it, to be very clear and very direct. Outwork and outperform every last one of them. And that is the way to handle negative people. Make sure that you outperform them. Do not give in to their little games. Shut it down. And what I think Jocko's saying is that it's so easy. Like, one of the things that in his other book, Extreme Ownership, he talks strongly, and he does in this book also, about subordinating an ego. And sometimes it's that initial reaction that makes you want to react, makes you want to flare up, and we all know what that feeling's like. So it's the power of being able to just pause, just to let it soak in, just to make sure you're making the right call, because you can react at any point. So before you overreact or you react in a way that you might regret, let it soak in. You can always react later on. And then you can make a logical and informed, practical decision. And with these principles that I think are powerful in themselves, I think you'll agree that it's there's not a bad idea in here at all so far. Now, the final one, my favourite. Oh, how I like this one. Because it's true. It is completely and utterly and totally true. Now, the reason I like this is that it resonated with me, not only because I like what was being said, it actually called out the things that I was doing. And when you hear this last one and you do a truthful audit, you go, yes, that is true. And some of the popular, in fact, very, very popular, some might say viral clips that we've done in the podcast has been you by calling out the BS, calling out the nonsense. And we do it in a charismatic and confident and rather sort of fun way. But there's truth in what we say because we're telling the truth. We're calling it out. We're saying what everybody else is thinking. And here on topic is why it's so well received, why it's so popular, because we're going to dive into it. Here it is. All your excuses are lies. You tell yourself lies, little lies, reasons. It's just this once. Today isn't important. I already worked out yesterday. I'm too sore. I'm too tired. I'm overtrained. I need a rest. I'm too hungry. I'm too full. Something else is more important. I don't have time. Lies, 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 lies. People ask where discipline comes from. I tell them it comes from within. But there is a level deeper. Discipline comes from the truth. The truth is the framework of discipline. And if you lie to yourself, you will not find discipline. If you lie to yourself, you will not be disciplined. And sometimes I meet people and they say, well, I've gotten to a point where I'm doing well professionally. I'm making good money. My health is pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. And I feel content with what I've done. And I can't just find the motivation to take it to the next level. Oh boy, we heard that before. So I ask them, are you sure that you really want to take it to the next level? And they say, yes. And I say, I don't think so. You see, if you really wanted to take it to the next level, you wouldn't be asking this question. You would be out there getting after it. You wouldn't have to try and find discipline. No, discipline would find you. So you're lying to yourself, saying that you want more, saying that you want to go to the next level. If you really wanted it, you would go get it. The person then looks disappointed. They feel like they maybe aren't truly driven. Then I continue. But here's the reality. If you were truly happy and if you were truly content, then you also wouldn't be asking these questions. There are the lies. The truth is that you know. You know that you could do more. You know that you could give more. You know that you could go harder. You know that you could be more. And that is what's driving you crazy. That is why you ask this question. Because if you tell yourself the truth, the unfiltered, unbridled, and unmitigated truth, that you have so much more potential and that you could be so much more. If you tell yourself that truth, the discipline will find you and you will not be able to get it out of your system. Stop lying to yourself. The truth is the fuel behind the discipline. The truth is what makes discipline unavoidable. The truth delivers discipline. Discipline equals freedom. So the truth will set you free. No one responds when I tell them this. They just nod their heads because they know it's true. All your excuses are lies. Stop lying to yourself. Boom. That's a mic drop moment. Ain't that the truth? The powerful truth on the reality of it all. There it is. Boom. Right there. You are your problem. You are the reason that you're behind. Your weakness is from within. You want to do something about it? Apply these principles. All your excuses are lies. Stop lying to yourself. Do what you can. Level up. Make a huge commitment. See where it is that you want to go. Head there. Do not stop. Do not quit. Don't give in. Give up on the whole pity party. You know, I'm sore, I'm tired, I'm fatigued, deload week, blah, 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 blah. Get up and get after it. Right? One life. One shot at this crazy thing we call life. Here is the powerful lessons from somebody that's done it all. And they're not difficult. They're lessons that everyone can apply. I've seen my kids do this. You want to see the magic that happens in a kid when you just, the smallest sprinkle of encouragement, they are supercharged. And you tell them, say, look, if you want it, you can have it. They don't know any different. They just go and get after it. They are relentless. Has a kid ever asked you for something? They want a toy or an ice cream. They're not going to give in. They're going to pull some black belt, jiu-jitsu, ninja moves to get what they want. They don't know the word no. They're like, game on. And they will wear you down and they will crack you. Become more like a kid where you get what you want. So there's the principles. I think it's been a great time to review this book again. It's been a pleasure actually going through it. I thoroughly enjoy reading this book. But at this point in time, it's one of the things that I think now more than ever, people ask how to do it. They ask the principles. They ask how to apply these things. And they're asking the right questions. And within this book is all the answers because they're unbelievably simplistic. And you know them to be true. You start applying them, start instilling discipline. It comes from within. Make better choices. Listen to the voice that's going on in your head, that voice that you can hear now. Change up your results by changing the type of questions that you ask in there. Change the questions, you'll change your results. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Mount Mindset. Remember, I have a visualization video series. If you want to see all the principles that I have learned through reading books like this and many, many more, and how you can start to develop a clear vision, because one of the things that Jocko talks about is how to know where you're going. You need to aim at something. You need a mission. You need an objective. You need to have a mission plan. It's the same as a vision. Vision's the same thing. Vision and a mission, one and the same. They're holding hands. If you want to learn how to do it, check out the link. Video series will be in the show notes below. Come and check it out. Get involved and make a start. And from me this week, that's a wrap.